From translation, RSV Revised Standard Version. This 36th day of the year. Today we are reading passages Leviticus 14 to 15. Leviticus chapter 14, verses 1 to 57. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall go out of the camp, and the priest shall look. And if the leprosy is healed in the leper, then the priest shall command to take for him, who is to be cleansed, 2 living clean birds, and cedarwood and scarlet and hyssop. And the priest shall command one of the birds to be killed in an earthen vessel over running water, but the other bird he shall let go alive into the open field. For him who is to be cleansed he shall make atonement for the living bird, to cleanse him from his uncleanness. And he shall sprinkle upon him who is to be cleansed from the leprosy 7 times, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the living bird go into the open field. And he who is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes, and shave off all his hair, and bathe himself in water, and be clean. And afterward he shall come into the camp, but shall dwell outside his tent 7 days. And on the 7th day he shall shave off all his hair from his head, his beard, his eyebrows, all his he shall shave, and he shall wash his clothes, and bathe his body in water, and be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take 2 male lambs without blemish, and 1 ewe lamb a year old without blemish, and a cereal offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, and 1 log of oil. And the priest who cleanses him shall set the man who is to be cleansed and these things before the Lord, at the door of the tent of meeting. And the priest shall take one of the male lambs, and offer it as a guilt offering, along with the log of oil, and wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And he shall kill the male lamb in the place where they kill the sin offering and the burnt offering, in the holy place. For the guilt offering, like the sin offering, belongs to the priest, it is most holy. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering, and put it upon the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil, and pour it into the palm of his own left hand, and shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and sprinkle with his finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before the Lord. And of the rest of the oil that is in his hand, the priest shall put upon the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, upon the blood of the guilt offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall put upon the head of him who is to be cleansed, and the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord. And the priest shall offer the sin offering, to make atonement for him who is to be cleansed from his uncleanness. And afterward he shall kill the burnt offering, and the priest shall offer the burnt offering and the cereal offering on the altar, and the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. But if he is poor and cannot afford so much, then he shall take 1 male lamb for a guilt offering to be waved, to make atonement for him, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil for a cereal offering, and a log of oil. And 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he can afford, the one shall be a sin offering and the other a burnt offering. And on the 8th day he shall bring them for his cleansing to the priest, to the door of the tent of meeting, before the Lord. And the priest shall take the male lamb for the guilt offering, and the log of oil, and wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And he shall kill the male lamb, and take some of its blood, and put it upon the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering, and put it upon the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot. And the priest shall put some of the oil that is in his hand upon the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the great toe of his right foot, upon the blood of the guilt offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall put upon the head of him who is to be cleansed, to make atonement for him before the Lord. And if he is poorer than that, then he shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he can afford, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. And on the 8th day he shall bring them for his cleansing to the priest, to the door of the tent of meeting, before the Lord. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and make atonement for him that he may be clean from his uncleanness. And then he shall kill the one for a burnt offering. And the priest shall offer the sacrifice of atonement, and make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, When you come into the land of Canaan, which I give you for a possession, and I put a leprous plague in a house in the land of your possession, then he who owns the house shall come and tell the priest, There seems to be a plague in my house. And the priest shall command them to empty the house before the priest goes to examine the plague, that all that is in the house may not be made unclean. And afterward the priest shall go in to inspect the house, and he shall examine the plague, and if the plague is in the walls of the house with greenish or reddish spots, and if it appears to be deeper than the surface, Then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again on the 7th day, and look. And if the plague has spread in the walls of the house, then the priest shall command that they take out the stones in which the plague is, and throw them into an unclean place outside the city. And they shall scrape the house inside round about, and they shall pour out the plaster into an unclean place outside the city. And they shall take other stones, and put them in the place of those stones, and other plaster, and they shall plaster the house. And if the plague breaks out again in the house, after he has taken out the stones and scraped the house and plastered it, then the priest shall come and look. And if the plague has spread in the house, it is a leprous plague in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, its stones and its timber, and all the plaster of the house, and he shall carry them forth out of the city to an unclean place. Moreover, whoever enters the house while it is shut up shall be unclean until the evening. And he who sleeps in the house shall wash his clothes, and he who eats in the house shall wash his clothes. And if the priest comes and makes an examination, and the plague has not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, for the plague is healed. And for the cleansing of the house he shall take 2 birds, with cedarwood and scarlet and hyssop, and shall kill one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water, and shall take the cedarwood and the hyssop and the scarlet and the living bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. And he shall cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and with the living bird, and with the cedarwood and hyssop and scarlet, and he shall let the living bird go out of the city into the open field. So shall he make atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. This is the law for any leprous eruption, and for an itch, and for the leprous disease in a garment, and in a house, and for a swelling, and for a scab, and for a bright spot. To teach when it is unclean and when it is clean, this is the law of leprosy. Leviticus chapter 15, verses 1 to 31. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Speak to the people of Israel, and say to them, When any man has a discharge from his body, his discharge is unclean. And this shall be his uncleanness in which he is unclean. Whether his body runs with his discharge, or his body is stopped from his discharge, it is his uncleanness. Every bed on which the man with discharge lies shall be unclean, and everything on which he sits shall be unclean. And whoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And whoever sits on anything on which the man with discharge has sat shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And he who touches the body of him who has a discharge shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And if he who has the discharge spits on him who is clean, he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And any saddle on which he who has the discharge rides shall be unclean. And whoever touches anything that he who has the discharge has sat upon shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And he who has the discharge, and does not wash his hands, shall touch anything. And if he touches anything, that thing shall be unclean, and that which is on his hand shall be unclean until the evening. And any earthen vessel which he who has the discharge touches shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. And when he who has a discharge is cleansed of his discharge, then he shall count for himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his body in running water, and shall be clean. But on the 8th day he shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord to the door of the tent of meeting, and give them to the priest. And the priest shall offer them, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord for his discharge. If any man has an emission of semen, he shall bathe his whole body in water, and be unclean until the evening. And every garment and every skin on which the semen comes shall be washed with water, and be unclean until the evening. If a man lies with a woman and has an emission of semen, both of them shall bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the evening. When a woman has a discharge, and her discharge in her body is blood, she shall be in her menstrual impurity 7 days, and whoever touches her shall be unclean until the evening. And everything that she lies on during her impurity shall be unclean, and everything that she sits on shall be unclean. And whoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And whoever touches anything on which she sits shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. And if he is on the bed or on the thing on which she sits, when he touches it, he shall be unclean until the evening. And if any man lies with her, and her impurity is on him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and every bed on which he lies shall be unclean. If a woman has a discharge of blood many days outside her period, or if she has a discharge beyond her period, all the days of her uncleanness she shall be as in her menstrual impurity. She is unclean. Every bed on which she lies during all the days of her discharge shall be to her as the bed of her impurity, and everything on which she sits shall be unclean, as the uncleanness of her menstrual impurity. And whoever touches these things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening. But if she is cleansed of her discharge, then she shall count for herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and bring them to the priest, to the door of the tent of meeting. And the priest shall offer one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her before the Lord for her uncleanness. Thus you shall keep the people of Israel separate from their uncleanness, lest they die in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is in their midst.